Blood ARGOT. When the vampire Lestat wrote his books, he used any number of terms taught to him by the vampires he had encountered in his life, and those vampires who added to his work, offering their memoirs and their experiences in written form, added terms of their own, some much more ancient than those ever revealed to Lestat. This is a list of those terms, which are now common amongst the undead throughout the world. The blood. When the word is capitalized, it refers to vampiric blood passed on from master to fledgling through a deep and often dangerous exchange in the blood means that one is a vampire. The vampire Lestat has over 200 years in the blood when he wrote his books. The great vampire Marius has over 2,000 years in the blood, and so forth and so on. Blood drinker, the most ancient term for vampire. This was Akasha's simple term, which she later sought to supplant with the term blood god for those who followed her spiritual path and her religion. Blood wife or blood spouse, one's vampire maid. Children of the millennia, term for immortals who have lived more than 1,000 years, and most specifically for those who have survived more than two. Children of the night, a common term for all vampires, or all those in the blood. Children of Satan, term for vampires of late antiquity, after who believed they were literally children of the devil and serving God through serving Satan as they fed upon humankind. Their approach to life was potential, and puritanical. They denied themselves all pleasure except drinking blood and occasional Sabbaths, large gatherings at which they danced, and they lived underground and often in filthy and dismal catacombs and enclosures. The children of Satan have not been seen or heard since the 18th century, and in all likelihood, the cult has died out. The Coven of the Articulate, a modern slang term popular among the undead for the vampires whose stories appear in the Vampire Chronicles, particularly Louis, Lestat, Pandora, Marius, and Armand. The Dark Gift, a term for vampiric power. When a master bestows the blood of a fledgling, that master is offering the dark gift. The dark trick refers to the act of actually making a new vampire, to draw out the fledgling's blood and to replace it with one's own powerful blood is to work the dark trick. The Devil's Road, medieval term among the vampires for the road each vampire takes through this world, a popular term of the children of Satan who saw themselves as serving God through serving the devil. To ride the devil's road was to live one's life as an immortal. The First Brood. These are the vampires descended from Caiman, who were in rebellion against Queen Akasha. The Queen's Blood. These are the vampires made by Queen Akasha to follow her path in the blood and the fight, the rebels of the First Brood. The Sacred Core. This refers, let's try this again. The Sacred Core. This refers to the residing brain or governing life force of the spirit of Amal, which is inside the body of the vampire Makare. Before it was in Makare, it was in the vampire Kasha. It is believed that every vampire on the planet is connected to the sacred core by some sort of invisible web or network of tentacles. If the vampire containing the sacred core were to be destroyed, all vampires of the planet would die. The Fire Gift. This is the ability of older vampires to use their telekinetic power to burn matter. They can, through the power of their minds, burn wood, paper, or any flammable substance. And they can burn other vampires as well, igniting the blood in their bodies and reducing them to cinders. Only older vampires possess this power, but no one can say when and how a vampire acquires it. A very young vampire made by an ancient one may immediately possess the power. A vampire must be able to see that which he or she wants to burn. In sum, no vampire can burn another if he cannot see that vampire, if he is not close enough to direct that power. The Cloud Gift. This is the ability of older vampires to defy gravity and rise up and move in the upper atmosphere and to cover long distances easily, traveling the winds unseen by those below. Again, no one can say when a vampire might acquire this power. The will to have it may work wonders. All truly ancient ones possess it, whether they know it or not. Some vampires despise the power and never use it unless forced. The Mind Gift. This is a loose, imprecise term which refers to the preternatural powers of the vampiric mind on many levels. Through the Mind Gift, a vampire might learn things from the world above, even when he is sleeping in the earth below, and consciously using the Mind Gift. He might telepathically listen to the thoughts of mortals and immortals. He might use the Mind Gift to pick up images from others as well as words. He might use the Mind Gift to project images into the minds of others. And finally, he might use the Mind Gift to telekinetically open a lock, push open a door, or stop the progress of an engine. Again, vampires develop the Mind Gift slowly over time, and only the most ancient can rape the minds of others for information they do not wish to give, or send telekinetic blast to rupture the brain and blood cells of a human being or another vampire. A vampire can listen to many the world over, hearing and seeing what others hear. But to destroy telekinetically, he or she must be able to see the intended victim. The Spell Gift. This refers to the power of vampires to confuse, beguile, and spellbind mortals, and sometimes other vampires. All vampires, even fledglings, have this power to some extent, though many don't know how to use it. It involves a conscious attempt to persuade the victim of the reality the vampire wants the victim to embrace. It doesn't enslave the victim, but it does confuse and mislead. It depends on eye contact. One can't spellbind anyone. From a distance. In fact, it more often involves words as well as glances, and certainly involves the Mind Gift on some level. Fledgling. A new vampire, very young in the blood, also one's own offspring in the blood. For example, Louis is the fledgling of Lestat. Armand is the fledgling of Marius. The ancient twin Maharad is the fledgling of her twin Makare. Makare is the fledgling of the ancient Caiman, and Caiman is the fledgling of Akasha. The Little Drink. Stealing blood from a mortal victim without the victim knowing it or feeling it, without the victim having to die. Maker. Simple term for the vampire who brought one into the blood, being slowly replaced by the term mentor. Sometimes the maker is also referred to as the master. However, this has gone out of use. In many parts of the world, it is considered a great sin to rise up against or seek to destroy one's maker. A maker can never hear the thoughts of a fledgling, and vice versa. The Queen of the Damned. Term given to the vampire Makare by her sister Maharat. Once Makare had taken the sacred core into herself, it was ironic. Akasha, the fallen queen who had sought to dominate the world, had called herself the Queen of Heaven. The Savage Garden, a term used by Lestat for the world fitting with its belief, or with his belief, the only true laws of the universe are aesthetic laws, laws that govern the natural beauty we see all around us on the planet. The Undead, a common term for vampires of all ages.